Yes, good afternoon, folks. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Uh, we have a lot of content to get through, so we're gonna get going right here. My name, if you don't know me, is Adrian Ng. Let me just switch slides here for a second. And I am the pre-sales solutions architect here at D&H, responsible for the Lenovo ISG data center portfolio. So what that means is anything that's data center related comes across my desk, right? If you need help with deal registration, with bid requests, with building the configuration, with getting your cost, right? Those types of things I can help you end to end with. I can help you with all of it or as little of that as you like, right? I've been doing this for about 20 plus years. I started at IBM where I picked up most of my technical expertise on the System X line, which as some of you probably already know, that System X became Lenovo ISG. Um, uh, in the last 10 years, I've been working in the channel at multiple resellers and MSPs, large and small. So I have plenty of experience, what it's like to be a reseller as well. During that time, I was a multi-vendor solutions architect, so I'm familiar with the Dell products and the HPE and the Cisco channel program as well. So hopefully, I could bring all those experiences together here, and then to help you, with a Lenovo solution that's both accurate to what you need it for, and also competitive against what we're competing against in terms of our vendors out there. Today's call is about edge computing. So this is the D&H Lenovo Infrastructure Solutions Group, Edge Computing Made Easy, with Lenovo ThinkEdge SE100. So today we'll be talking about edge computing, what it is, what it means, how it's different from traditional data center computing, and how Lenovo can help you. If there's anything else that you guys want to hear about next, right, please get in touch with me and I can set that up for our next webinar. On our call today to take us through the bulk of that content is a person named Mark Bika. He's the Lenovo ISG North American product manager. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mark a couple times in person in Dallas, as well as at the EBC, and sat through a couple of his presentations. Phenomenal speaker, phenomenal presenter. I'm sure you guys are going to have a great time today. Before we bring Mark on, though, a couple of housekeeping notes. We'll be taking questions throughout the webcast. So in the corner of your screen now, I don't know which corner, there should be a Q&A box where you could type in your questions. So throughout the webinar, we'll be monitoring that. And if appropriate, we'll interrupt Mark and ask the question then, or if not, we can hold it till the end as well for the Q&A that we have at the very end. Aside from that, there's a couple of messages I gotta get through. Let me just change slides here real quickly. Those of you that don't know D&H, D&H is a company that's been in business for over 100 years. Started as a tire retreading company, believe it or not, in 1918, and eventually evolving into a North American IT distribution company. We are 100% North American, meaning all partners, all resellers get a dedicated sales rep that it's based in North America. So we're never outsourced. We had high revenues exceeding $6 billion across the US and Canada, growing at 3x the rate of our competitors over the last 10 years. And have been named by Forbes as one of America's largest private companies since 2009. So a lot of that is thanks to not just my teammates, but also for you guys, for your support of D&H as well. D&H Canada has been around for about 17 years. We're headquartered in Mississauga, Ontario. There's a new facility that we moved into in 2013. There are two Canadian distribution centers, both new, one in Mississauga and one on the West Coast in Surrey, BC, just outside of Vancouver. That's increased our logistics footprint by about 3x since 2022. We have a new integration and services center, about 4,000 square feet of a dedicated space in our Mississauga DC to help put together, laptops, servers, asset tags, laser edges, that kind of stuff. We currently have over 110 manufacturer partners and a growing list of growing line card of hardware and cloud and professional services providers. And recently, just this year, we were recognized by Lenovo as the distributor of the year. So we're very happy about that. What else? Let's talk about a couple of things that you guys may or may not already know about. Let me skip slides here. Switching gears to Lenovo promos, there's something called new customer bonus. You really should already know about this. If you don't, what this is if a customer hasn't purchased ISG in the last 3 years, they get an incremental discount. So now it's actually been updated to 8% for 12 months. So it's been extended. So if you want more details, ping me offline. We can go through it, or your Lenovo channel account manager could give you more details about that as well. It's a very basically it makes it very competitive, right? After deal registration and bid pricing, and then now with NCB, you're getting some really steep discounts, which makes it easier to compete against Dell and HPE. Excuse me. One last one that I want to show you guys is the Premier support. There's a discount on Premier support right now going on. It started, I think, previous quarter, but it's also going on right now. Actually, I think they might have expanded this to beyond just Premier support, but all of the support. But anyway, the point here is with Premier support, they get a dedicated account manager, and when they call in for support, that call gets routed to that dedicated account manager that already knows the customer's environment, as opposed to if they didn't have Premier support, they'd be calling into a call center where the call center agent would be asking them for a callback number, and user has to hang up and wait for a callback. So depending on your end user, whether they're a patient type or fiery type, Premier supports to me sounds like the way to go. So, all right, with all that said, let me switch gears here and pass the mic over to Mark. Mark is going to take us through, again, he's the North American product manager, and he's going to take us through what Edge servers are, what Edge is, what it means, and how Lenovo could help us. Mark, please take it away.
All right, Adrian, thank you very much. Hey, everybody, Mark Bika. As you can see, I'm one of the brand managers here for Lenovo North America. Been here 15 years, been doing this about the last 9 or 10 years, so appreciate y'all joining us today. Just want to jump into it there. So sorry, there we go. So really, the first wanted to start as far as, talking about Edge, or, a lot of the times we hear referred to fog computing out there, but really it starts with anything we're doing outside of the data center. And it stretches extreme abilities. As you can see, so some of these images that we have out there, we're working with a lot of different industries and technologies out there to be able to bring that compute that these customers need. Obviously, with a lot of the hybrid cloud that we have with our customers and stuff today, it doesn't always make a lot of sense to have to send data all the way back to the data center. So we really want to be able to bring that compute or that crunch of muscle out there closer to the edge where our customers are actually gathering that data and where they need it the most. Awesome. All right. So what is Edge? Edge is the location. Like I was saying, it's anything outside of the data center that we're working with, all the way from maybe a remote office, back office, to like an oil rig that we just saw on some of those other screens that you have out there. As you see some of this data out there, only 2% of the data created is processed out there. And that's growing. So while we have huge growth on data overall, the growth for Edge is growing even exponentially faster out there as well. And again, as you can see, we've got huge cloud costs out there to intake and do all this, as well as the fact that sometimes we don't have time for that latency, especially as we start introducing AI out there towards the edge also. So as far as how we're kind of looking at it as of today, we go back there, as you can see on the left, we've got a lot of automation that we're doing out there outside of the data center that typically hasn't had any type of smart technology attached to it. As you can see, stuff like security and surveillance. Yes, we've had security cameras going and taking videos for years. We're keeping that cold storage out there. But now we've got AI coming out there. And so the ability of what we can do AI is to take this technology and merge it into all of our automation out there. And ultimately, what we can do is if we skip to the next slide here, is that you can see that we can go ahead and merge that in there. So like when we're talking about surveillance, not only are we doing surveillance, but we're also tracking individuals, tracking their gates, if you will. It also helps with inventory management. If you look at what we're doing with manufacturing, even our own manufacturing plants here at Lenovo, we're using a lot of this technology, not only monitoring all the trucks that come in and out, but also by using video AI on our manufacturing lines, looking for differences, anything that might be a problem out there. And then even if we get into stuff like retail, when it comes up to like digital signage, we've got partners within AI that have software that will allow us to not only help customers guide them through a store for what they need, but also based on habits, we can go ahead and change that digital signage on the fly versus just having to update it or put a sticker out there or anything. So we can really start working more on not only that customer experience out there, but also the collaboration of all this existing automation in introducing AI for that. So with that said, want to get into a little bit about where we are at Lenovo outside of the data center. So starting off, we'll go with what you can see here for these lower end IT management workloads. I mentioned Robo, remote office, back office. These little towers are ideal for that, or even for a first server for maybe a small SMB customer. They're designed to run 24/7. They're using enterprise parts out there on the lower end out there, but also these things run whisper quiet. Very similar to the SE100 I'll get into about that 30 to 34 dBA. So it's library whisper quiet. But we can go ahead and put these boxes under a desk. We can kick our feet up on them while we're working. We don't have to worry about any noise or anything. And we've got that compute that we need 24/7 out there for those lighter loads. Now, as we scale this up a little bit, we start talking about applications and virtualization. So you can see now we've got this ST250 here, which is a larger tower. It comes with hot swap drives. We've got PCIe slots or more of them in the back there. It gives us a little bit more capability to run what we need, especially different type of RAIDs out there as well. The ST250 also has its sister product to the right there in the SR250. I do refer to the SR250 as our true pizza box because it is only 19 inches by 19 inches. So what that means is that maybe we're talking about remote office, back office, or whatever. We've got some sites that we have no infrastructure. We can go ahead and put a tower like that ST250 out there. But if we're in a situation where maybe we've got a small closet in the back, maybe we got two post rack with some networking equipment, we can go ahead and get that SR250 in there. So it's a lighter load, closer to the data out there, and not having to be on the ground or anything along those lines. And we see a lot of our customers, even the ones that were buying boxes like that ST50 in the past, we've seen them scale up to things like the ST250 for hospitality, remote office, gas stations, all kinds of these type of customers out there. Even above that, though, we do see some that are scaling even more, especially when we start talking about hyperconvergent that I'll get into when we get into a few more slides there. So what I just talked about is like what I like to refer to that as the near edge. We're still inside, we're in office locations, it's nothing extreme temperatures or anything like that. But if we take it to the extreme far at the edge, you can see that we've got these sensors or aggregates, if you will, with the SE10, SE30, and SE50. So these things are great IoT devices. These are great for grabbing information out there, and they scale based on the CPUs. Like the SE10 on those little Atom processors, that would be a more ideal box that we would use. Maybe if we're just collecting environmental sensor data, just numbers or something like that. The SE30, now we're start talking about a proper i3 type processor. So maybe it's like some of the stuff that we do in our manufacturing, we're looking at different images or something along those lines. And then the SE50 scaling up to like i5 processor. Now we can maybe start talking about getting into that visual inspection that I was talking about. I do want to call out the SE30 and the SE50 do have some follow-on products that will be coming out next year, early in 2026. So maybe I can get invited back and we can have some more conversations out there. But again, these are used for the extreme far edge to gather that data. They lack that muscle that we can get with a proper CPU server or even with GPUs out there. One other thing to note too is that with these boxes, we do have LTE support or mobile communication, as well as Wi-Fi on some of these boxes. We do that with these boxes because, again, these are just gateways grabbing data. They're not going to be pushing as much data as we would with a server, So we can still rely on that lower end type of technology versus actual, piping up to the servers there it is. So with that said, while we're out there at the far edge, now we've also got a couple of devices that we can work with. As you can see, for accelerated workloads and hyperconvergence. Accelerated workloads usually means we're talking about GPUs, getting that muscle to do that crunching out there, as well as what we can do for hyperconverge. So maybe we're talking about these environments that maybe it's a manufacturing site or something, and maybe they are running a hyperconverged infrastructure. Maybe they need 3-node cluster or something, but maybe it's dusty. Maybe there's other reasons for that. Maybe they need to get a couple of the big GPUs in there. That SE455 would be the solution that we would use for that. So a little bit about this. One of the main things is the security that we have on this, both physical as well as technological out there. So as you can see, we've got different ways. Towers, we can always put that to a little Kensington lock cable or something along those lines, but we're taking it a little bit faster out there. As you can see that not only do we have these cables, but also brackets, bezels on the fronts, just so nobody can come and take one of the drives out. Intrusion switches, so if somebody is opening that box up, we can get notified, as well as the ability for geo-tracking. If somebody actually rips one of these off the wall, we can actually track it physically. On the technology side, in that same instance, if somebody's stealing one of these, we can go ahead and lock down all of that authentication through the self-encrypting keys on there. We've got Lenovo Systems Guard out there, as well as our ability to use XClarity controller for these. Again, we're installing a lot of these servers where we lack the people on site, whether you're a service provider or it's your customer's thing. So with the ability to remotely manage with XClarity, it means that we can go ahead and make sure that we have the utmost uptime as well as everything up to date as far as security or even firmware out there. So before I get into the SE100, I did want to take a second and talk about the SE455 again. As you can see, this is a 2U box. Again, it's 19 inches wide, so we can fit it on a 2-post, 4-post rack wherever you want. It varies under 20 inches depth as well. So it's a nice short box that we have the ability to get out there. Now, we're really using this for a lot more of those intense AI-hungry type of deployments out there. And the reason that we actually designed this box is that we can go ahead and support 2 of those double-wide GPUs out there. So we can get a lot of muscle out there, especially a great example, like the things that we've done with Kroger and Everseen, as far as the software that they use within the cameras to make sure that you are scanning what you think you are. We can go ahead and deploy these in locations that traditionally, first off, we don't have room for a 30-inch long rack, but also the ability to put those in enclosures and stuff like that. A lot of temperature tolerance with these edge servers out there as well. Again, we're outside of the data center. We're not going to always be in that controlled 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, I don't have the translation to Celsius. I'm American. But it gives us the ability to keep doing that. I do want to take a second and note there's a few products that I've removed from this portfolio. Specifically, when it comes to this one, is the SE450. Those of you that aren't familiar, if it ends in a 5, it means it runs on an AMD CPU. If it ends on a 0, it means it runs on an Intel CPU. The SE450 was actually a V2. It's still alive. It was based off the older Ice Lake CPUs. The reason it's not on here is that we are taking that end of life around the March timeframe. And so I want to get ahead of this and make sure that our partners as well as customers are aware of that, especially when we start having these edge opportunities. They're a lot longer of a sales cycle as well as deployment. It's not just like stacking pizza boxes in the data center out there. Also, the other 2 boxes that I want to mention that we are no longer going to have as of March are the SE350 and the SE360 V2. Those, unfortunately, with the end of DDR4 memory, is something that we are withdrawing. So we have done our last time buy already for those larger customers to make sure we can fulfill our requirements for those deployments out there. So just again, SE350 V2, SE360 V2, and the SE450 V2 are going the way of the dinosaur as we turn into this new calendar year. All right, it looks like we're going to take an opportunity here to have a little poll. I think that I actually restocked this the wrong way. If I can maybe just get back to this slide in a second here. I'm getting all of the information given away out there. But anyhow, back to the regularly scheduled program. Here is the SE100 like we were talking about. So as you can see, by nature, this thing is 10 inches long by 5 inches wide. By far the smallest edge server we've ever had here at Lenovo. Also, going on that point, I had mentioned that library quiet acoustics around that 34 dBAs. That means that we can go ahead and we can use this box in a lot of places that we couldn't use some of the older ones. I just got done mentioning that SE352. If you ever been in our briefing center, we used to have one running there, actually running an application. And to be honest, those little fans on that can scream. And it was a big distraction, especially as we have customers going back and forth. With this little box, now we've got something that we can bring to the front of the house so that we can go ahead and start expanding that cloud, expanding the AI for whatever we need out there. Also, as you can see, we have the capabilities that we can go ahead and remove the fins on the top as well as the fans on the top. So you can't see underneath these fins, there are some fans that blow up to cool it down. The reason for those fins are in case it gets stacked or anything along those lines. We can still make sure that it's able to breathe out there. If you go on down to the bottom, you can go ahead and see that we have the ability to remove those fins, remove those fans, and we can go ahead and rack 3 of these in a 1U rack. This is amazing. Now, we've only been shipping this box for a few weeks, maybe a month now it is, but we do have many different proof of concepts out there going on already with a lot of customers, especially in this 1U rack. And when we start talking about working with scale computing, again, going back to those robo customers, essentially what we can do there is with scale computing, we can provide them a 3-node cluster in a 1U rack. So really excited about what we're going to be having going on with that. So as far as the SE100, again, I mentioned it, you can see down at the bottom that it is 10 inches long by 5 inches wide, so 2.1 liters. But if we look at the top, you can see that we have the ability to put on an expansion, or as we like to call it, a sidecar here, that gives us the ability to add a PCIe card on here. So maybe we need more networking interfaces, we can go ahead and we can add those on there, but also this gives us the ability to put a GPU in the server. So going back to what I was referring about, like with the GPUs, when we're doing inference, we need that extra muscle out there. So again, not only are we going to be able to have unique places we can bring this box, we can make sure it's quiet, it's not a distraction, but we also have that muscle that we can use to really get some inference out there. As far as what we can do, you can see that at the base, we can do 92 AI tops. That's trillions of trillions of operations per second. So just as that is, think about that, 92 trillion out there. On the flip side, if we get that GPU in there, we can go ahead and bump that up already to a 307 AI tops. So again, we've got a real heavy machine out here that we can go ahead and run for that AI inference out there. All right, this is a question that I apologize, I did not cover on the SE455, and I put this in there. You can see though, I mentioned that it does support 2 of the double GPUs, so I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. As far as for the single GPUs, we can actually get 6 of those single GPUs in there as well. So we've got a lot of capabilities or fluctuation we can do there. And I apologize, I messed these up. I'll just skip over that for now. If we can keep going here, all right. So again, talking about some of that security, here you can see the inside of this SE350. This thing is small, but it is very heavy because there's a lot of stuff going on in there. So you can see that we've got, again, I mentioned the security, how we've got tamper detections out there, self-encrypting drives, the XClarity management, as well as now XClarity Controller 2 for this on there as well. And as far as what we're capable of doing with this, I mentioned that we can get 3 of these in a 1U. If you look down at the bottom to the right, we also have that capabilities where we can get 2 of these with the GPU side by side in a 1U rack as well. By default, we call it desktop mode. If you see at the top there, really that just means these little rubber feet that we put on the bottom of it, just to get that traction wherever you're putting it out there, as well as these wall and ceiling modes as mounts that you can see here. So you can see the boxes on the left there. You can see the little holes with the fans on there. But also to call out what you see on the right there within that other big box is actually going to be the mounted power supplies. So we don't show the power supplies a lot with this box, but by default in the desktop mode, it does come with a 140-watt power brick, similar to like what you would see with maybe a mobile workstation or something along those lines. And then for the mounted type, or in the rack actually, we have the 300 watts that we have. So we remove those fans and the fins, we mount the servers in there, we actually add some fans in the mid plane, and then the power supplies are in the back there. And so closing out, we talked a lot about Edge. We actually started doing Edge, I believe it was 2018 when the original SE350 V1 came out. I remember that was exciting times here. Everybody was excited about that box. Everybody wanted to kick the tires and try it out. I will say though that I do feel that here at Lenovo, we leaned over our skis a little bit. We came out with this cool new, flashy widget, but I don't feel that we had our stuff together on the back end. Now, when we look back 8 years ago, or where we're at today, you can see now we've got the ecosphere out there. So not only the partnerships with ISVs, but also a lot of other software solutions that are intended for all of these boxes. Additionally, we have our own software inside. I mentioned how we can use XClarity for managing these, but also with Lenovo Open Cloud Automation, LOCA, we can not only do the deployment, but also we can start using more of that AI technology for predictive failure analysis or anything along those lines. And in closing, we've got the services. So we've got the people as well that can do this. And we've got many services that we do here in-house. And I talk about this with partners all the time in the briefing center. I understand that your organizations have your own services and you're pushed to do those and stuff. Just want to say that sometimes it does make sense to lean in on Lenovo services and everything that we can do at manufacturing. Because if we do it there, it just eliminates the problems of having to ship, unbox, work, box, ship. We can even drop ship it with everything out there. So with that said, I apologize for my skipping over some of these polls that we had out there, but hopefully this was a good conversation and there was some need out there.
No, that was awesome.
So Adrian, I see there's some chat going on. Anything I missed?
Nothing in particular. No, I was watching this. It was just talking about how we could go back to the poll questions if you wanted to, but that's totally fine. I wanted to say a couple things. I want to say a couple of things. The SE100 I got to see in person at our Thread event in Toronto. So for those of you that came to the D&H Thread conference, that was I think September, a couple of months ago. You would have seen that at our booth. It's basically the size of a giant iPhone, if you will, or maybe bigger than that, probably. Maybe like a small tablet kind of thing. Like it's you can kind of hold it in one hand, and it is quite beefy. I intentionally dropped it from not too high onto the table just to demonstrate how rugged it is, and it's solid, right? So that was the one thing. The second thing is for you guys as resellers, Lenovo offers a not for resale bid process where you could request to buy one of these at a discounted price from a not for resale bid standpoint. So I don't remember what the cost is to you guys at the bid price to you guys, but if you give me a ping after the call, we could run through a couple of configurations because it depends on how you configure it as well, right? And we could see it. I think it's going to be a couple $1,000s. It's not too expensive. The third point, I think Mark touched on this, and like he mentioned during his bit, we really want to have him or one of his teammates to come back and talk about it. But the scale computing portion of it, this box, I mean, the way that we're positioning it in today's call, we're saying this is part of the Edge portfolio, right? but there's really nothing stopping you from using it in a robo environment or even in a production in your traditional data center environment if you had such a small environment, right? So for example, if you had only, I don't know, a handful of VMs, right, maybe 5 or 10, but you still wanted to have that redundancy of having a cluster. And obviously in this day and age, you're not going to be running VMware anymore, right? So scale computing would be a really good solution for those smaller virtualized environments where you want to run hyperconverge, you want to run VMs, you want to run a cluster, right? And like Mark said, you could get 3 of these guys in within the 1U footprint, and that's super small and super scalable. So no worries there. What else was there? Let me see. Any questions pop up in the meantime? I don't think we did have any, guys. So if you had any questions, now's the time to ask them. Let me switch slides quickly here and mention a couple more things before we close out. So for those of you,
hey Adrian.
Yeah.
Just want to interrupt you. Apologies. I don't know why it froze at the end, but I just want to let you know I'm back on here.
Oh no, I think we heard you fine. It was just the camera that was frozen. We still saw your face, though. I think that was fine.
Apologies. Thank you.
No. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you guys in Toronto or in the area of Toronto, next month we're running a. Actually, let me back up. So starting next year, Lenovo is going to be changing the way that the reseller tiering system works, right? So there's no longer going to be a silver status. It's just going to be gold. And then the one below that is going to be authorized. There's still platinum and platinum 360 above that for the larger resellers out there. But, for the bulk of you, is going to be either authorized silver or gold. And what's also changing is, and as opposed to having different revenue requirements for IDG and ISG, it's just going to be a combined one of 500K, whether it's laptops or servers or storage. Though there is going to be a difference in terms of the multiplier. With ISG, you're going to get the 2x multiplier when you sell ISG. So anyway, long story short, aside from the revenue requirements, you also need to have a technical requirement. So one of those technical requirements is to have the data center sales certification. So this going back to what I was saying, those of you in the Toronto area, if you haven't already received an invite from your D&H rep or from myself or from whoever at D&H, please get in touch with me and I'll be happy to forward you an invite. We're running a boot camp to get certified on that certification test, on that ISG data center sales certification that will be applicable towards your gold status. We're running that, I believe, on December 9th. I got to check my calendar. I don't have it in front of me. And we're holding it at Lenovo headquarters in Markham, Lenovo Canada headquarters in Markham, Ontario, just north of Toronto. So we're limiting, I think, the list registration to, I think, just 20-something people, partly because of fire marshal limit for the room, but also partly due to the instructor's preference for interaction. So why does this matter to you, aside from what I've said? The difference between joining my boot camp here versus, say, another training online, we're going to make you write the test right after we do the training. And by making, I mean we're going to be helping you. This is a open book exam. So, you're allowed to look up student materials. You're allowed to look up Lenovo Press. You're allowed to ask for help. We're not going to give you the answers. I'll be there, right? If you ask me what's the answer to question number 4, I can't tell you the answer. But, I could point you to, you should look for this or search for this or hit Control F and type this in your student materials and see if that helps you out, right? So those are some of the things that we do differently here that we ran this once actually in March earlier this year, and we got a lot of people passing. So hopefully we could help you pass as well, especially if you're one of those guys that are close to or surpass that 500K that revenue mark, so you can qualify for gold status. So okay, I think that was it. Let me see what else I have to tell you guys before we get going. Don't think there's any more questions that got posted. Nope. Okay, so once again, thank you, Mark, for taking us through the edge computing portfolio. We learned what edge computing is, its a location, how it's different from traditional data center computing. It's much closer to where the information is generated, and how Lenovo can help with the new SE100 and then the SE455 V3, as well as some of the other products in the portfolio. To the audience, you guys will receive a link to the webcast to replay this on demand for you if you or your teammates couldn't make the call. Please also note you can download the presentation in PDF format on, I think, the right side of your screen. If you have any questions, please send them to Lenovo Canada ISG at dnh.com. Do I still have my slide up there? Yes, I do. So in the upper right-hand corner there on your screen, I mentioned the upcoming events, promos we kind of talked about. That's it. That's all that I had for now. We don't have a date set yet for the next webinar, but it'll likely be in 2026. So for those of you coming to my certification bootcamp next month, I'll see you guys there. If not, the rest of you, look for the link for the link for the webinar for the next quarter, and I'll see you guys there. Thanks again, Mark. Thanks again, everybody, for joining today.